Hello. This is the Social Distance Reading Series, a project of the Vermont School and Green Mountains Review. I am Sidney Wade, author of Deep Gossip, New and Selected Poems, published by the Johns Hopkins University Press. Thank you for joining me in Gainesville, Florida. I'll introduce myself. I am a poet. I've published 8 books of poems and 1 book of translations. I taught at the University of Florida in the MFA at FLA Creative Writing Program for 21 years. I retired 4 years ago and am now Professor Emerita. While there, I edited the journal Subtropics, the poetry of the journal Subtropics. And I think that's it. So I'll begin the reading with the first book the first poem in the book, which is the first of the new poems section. It's called Fata Morgana. Fata Morgana means is the Latin for illusion. This morning, winter sun pours through dark oaks on the avenue, bright, clean, and rich, and the soul soars, and the body feels every cell is about to break through illusion and disperse into pure shine. This poem is called Three Voices, and it is after Richard Wilbur's wonderful poem called Two Voices in a Meadow. Three Voices. Chanterelle. My stubborn head breaks sod, and I spring up velvet gold. My ceiling now the sky, my cilium my mold. My earthly frame is peach, my odor apricot. I appeal to heaven's eye and ornament the plot. Winter wren. Tiny, plump, and brown, I probe in soil and bark, turning over matted leaves and searching through the dark for earthly stuff. No one who came along would guess I am the author of a transcendental song. Vole. I dream a brilliant dream of roots and fruits and such. I sister to the soil and feather at her touch. I wake and tunnel through spring grass and thrips and gnats, and skylark in the fluid light that screams the cryptic cat. Okay. Pollen. Each spring, pollen stars our cars, our roses. It pools and sheens the pavement after rain, gold green. It cakes the town, such power. Each grain a small sun, sacred dust, tree semen, powdered lust. It stuffs the nose and makes it run. The next is my ode to the Sora rail, which is a small avian resident of freshwater marshes. Figure and ground, cryptic camouflage, and visual rhyme. The short and stocky chicken-like rail with a short, pointy, triangular tail, poking through reeds and microflora, foraging seeds and small carnivora, is the whinnying hen with the marshy aura of wetland and fen, the fabulous Sora. Seeing the ophthalmologist. We are here to shed light on our condition. My pupils dilate. We are here to brighten the interior of the eye, to map the macula. We are here to enlighten dark spots in the tissue, dimples in the web. We are here to measure the growing cataract, to assess approaching disaster. More light, more light. We are here to arrive at clarity, to inspect interstitial ashes. Year by year, Our charts thicken. The heavy man beside me wheezes, his bulk straining the wicker of his chair. We are here to probe the shadows as we observe flashes of light on the fringes of vision. Here my chin rests in the frame of the cutting-edge instrument whose small breeze is a spider kissing my wide-open eye. E-Y-E, is a poem about sandhill cranes. The pair fanned out of the air and landed 4 feet from our feet. They chattered to each other in their woody, spoke-like language as we stood still on the dike and admired their gray height, their orange eyes. I stared and compared my eye to theirs, my tall pyre of polite vanities to their bright unhumanity, my human sight to their split fields of vision, fields of stubble, all much smaller than they used to be, as all can see, since we continually strip, shear, fleece, and skin, leaving little but rubble for them to forage in. Then they eased their forms from the diminishing frame and slipped away. Skin. The living bag we live in, unfurred, unfeathered, bare to the air, crusted and weathered by time, by fear, first to parse the grammar of lust or wasting, sack of blood and fluid, when breached, will flood or weep, as mother's legs wept. She lay naked, shaved, bedbound, and drowning in her body's watery conjugations of the verb to die. She declined in spirit, she swelled in form, betrayed by the welter of assaults on her frame. She called on God to come and get her great beached weight. She prayed, her dear eyes wrecked, confounded by the grave declensions of earthbound flesh. This next one is a poem for my daughters. Such luck. In the larger darknesses of the ground west of sight, I'm shouting at the mountain of silence and depth when an eye opens and I open my mouth to devour the sound of night, which in time will filter through all that swings or hums. My fist is full of letters, my wrist aches like a drum. Such luck to hold this compendium of resonant voices in the sanatorium of my head, whose guest book is crowded with the highbrow and the lowbrow, and whose overseer in the background prays every day for my bright daughters and the blue-black waters they're swimming through and all the possibilities they might swallow. And I know my strength and sphere may be slight, but look at this handful of light I found in a crack in the ground. Here, it's for you. This next poem is called Geep. It's the name of a real creature, a medically engineered animal with the genes of both goat and sheep, therefore Geep. This was pointed out to me by my brilliant co-worker, Michael Hoffman, as we shared an office many years ago. The end of this poem relies heavily on Frost's wonderful, if slightly mystifying essay, The Figure a Poem Makes. You will recognize it. Geep. The music of the sleepy day was ravagingly dull until Michael reeled up a geep from the depths of his considerable intelligence. A geep, a wonky blend of goat and sheep, a medical medley, genetic fugue they call chimera, another wholly enthralling sound we found when Googling Geep, whose enharmonic bleating in the end rings oh so sad, The photo on the screen reveals a downcast baby creature, neither here nor there, two bold and mordant sets of chromosomes whistling fortissimo through its patchwork hide, a botched-up map of silken hair and woolly yellow fur, its forlorn droopy ears a study in radical embarrassment. I feel profoundly sorry for this border folly, this lonely little instrument of the ever-expanding notion of what's possible. But then I see we're kin, the little geep and me. We're marginal ephemera, intoning low, invisible messages at the edges of the known to who knows whom, the difference between us a matter of degree. The poet, of course, a hybrid creature of transport and remorse, an overreacher in semaphore, who knows that sound's the gold in the ore, whose pleasure ground is linguistic welter that rides like ice on its own melting to paradise or to a stranger land we don't yet understand. Burrowing owl. Very odd, this little cloud in trousers in the sandy fortress favored by prairie dog and gopher tortoise. On the mound at the mouth hole, he scouts around with sibylline yellow eyes and then, owl-wise, decides to clean house. He dives down and soon great clouds of smudge come flying out, his home now clean as a bone. A diurnal owl, he's upside down and inside out, at ease not in trees but underground, where his mate broods on her 8 fragile moons in an immaculate burrow whose contours are lined with cow manure. Birds are made mostly of air. They bear scant weight and many bright colors. Eschewing the freight of matrimony, they rarely mate for life. They lay their speckled eggs on stony cliffs, on sea wrack or bare sand, and in the grass. Glass, alas, often breaks their necks as they migrate at night or in the bright betrayals of sunlight. The last poem is called Birding at the Dairy. We're searching for the single yellow-headed blackbird we've heard commingles with thousands of starlings and brown-headed cowbirds when the many-headed body arises and undulates a sudden congress of wings in a maneuvering wave that veers and wheels, a fleet and schooling swarm in synchronous alarm, a bloom radiating in ribbons, in sheets, in waterfall, a murmuration of birds that turns liquid in air, that whooshes like waves on the shore, or the breath of a great seething prayer. Thank you for listening. The book is Deep Gossip, New and Selected Poems, published by the Johns Hopkins University Press. You can find it at the press. You can buy it directly from them, or from your local bookshop, or from Amazon. I'd like to suggest that if you enjoyed these poems, you will also enjoy the poems of David Huddle, whose newest book is called My Surly Heart. It has very fine cover art on it, and it is published by the LSU Southern Messenger series. Please check out my short Q&A over at the Green Mountains Review online. Thank you for listening.